you're gonna want to sit down for this video, because today's video is insane. You know, Nickelodeon is one really weird place. And if you didn't already know, one of the most famous Nickelodeon shows, iCarly, is actually getting a reboot. However, many fans were heartbroken to find out that Jennette McCurdy would not be reprising her role as Sam Puckett. Meanwhile, many of the original cast is planning on returning to the show. Jennette McCurdy has also been very vocal about rough past and her rough teen years. If you listen to her podcast, she opens up about her eating disorder, about how wasn't really proud of any of her young acting. She's even talked about the sickness in her family, and has not stated if she will be returning to the show, but many people think it's pretty safe to assume that she will not be returning to iCarly. After iCarly, she moved on to a spin-off series called Sam and Cat, starring alongside Ariana Grande from the show Victorious. But Sam and Cat never finished. Jennette stated that Nickelodeon put her in an uncomfortable, compromising, and unfair situation. And that's why she left the show. There's also many rumors that Jennette McCurdy was being paid significantly less than her co-star Ariana Grande, though the show was called Sam and Cat. Sam and Cat was a show ran by Dan Schneider, and this pinwheels us into our main topic of the day, Dan Schneider. Dan Schneider worked for Nickelodeon for years. He produced some of the greatest shows to ever come out of Nickelodeon. I'm talking All That, Drake and Josh, iCarly, Victorious, Henry Danger, Sam and Cat, Zoe 101. This man was a genius when it came to TV shows. However, the amount of crazy stuff that was on his shows is astronomical. Think back. Nickelodeon was the place for the weirdest creations to come together for our entertainment. Nickelodeon was one of the weirdest places in children's entertainment, period. I mean, there was the slime, the talking sponge, you know, it was a pretty odd channel. But Dan Schneider's shows were special. They were different than the other stuff, maybe because it was live action, or maybe it was the comedy style. But man, there was some weird stuff going on in his shows. And in 2018, Nickelodeon announced that they would be parting ways with Dan Schneider and Schneider's Bakery. Shortly after Nickelodeon made this announcement, many accusations and stories against Dan Schneider began to arise. And I've gotta be fair, okay? Like 6 years ago, Dylan the Hacker called this.
Because I'm only gonna tell you this once. If I hear another story of you taking advantage of another teenage girl, I will fly to Nick Studios myself and give you a beatdown personally. I've heard it all, Danny boy.
I mean, I'm down to back him up if he's still willing to give Dan Schneider that beatdown. As a kid, I loved these shows, but after rewatching them now, I've noticed a lot more things that I didn't notice as a kid. And I'm not the only person that's noticed a lot of these wildly inappropriate things that are being shown on Dan Schneider's shows. For example, the amount of feet and toes that have been shown on his shows. Sprouting the rumor that Dan Schneider has a foot fetish that he uses his shows to please. Think about it. How many times were feet an ongoing joke in his shows? On September 13th, 2013, Dan actually tweeted out from the Sam and Cat Twitter page requesting that kids write on their feet and send in photos. As well as in 2009, whenever he tweeted a picture of Jennette McCurdy's feet, asking fans to name her toes. And this is only the tip of the iceberg in a series of now infamous tweets from Dan Schneider. Now let's look at some of his shows. Keeping this idea in mind, it makes his shows a lot more uncomfortable and disgusting to watch. Remember that most of the actors were underaged, and were playing underage kids. Some of the more famous scenes being Victoria Justice pouring a whole bottle of ketchup on her feet, as well as Liz Gillies using a remote control using only her feet, and Ariana Grande putting her whole big toe in her mouth. This wasn't even from one of his main series. All of this was from a mini-series on the internet, produced by Dan Schneider. Looking into more of his famous shows, there includes scenes of Sam and Carly drawing families on their toes, as well as Victoria Justice firing an arrow using only her feet, and Drake Bell cuddling Josh Peck's foot. It's also strange that Dan has not denied or dismissed any of these rumors. Okay, we need to move on from this topic because it's actually making me sick. In 2019, Alexa Nicholas was asked on an Instagram Live about Zoe 101. First response was short and blunt, stating that her time on the show was awful. Alexa then told stories of bullying on set coming from her co-stars, and even a time where she was threatened by Britney Spears. And when Dan came up in the conversation, she mentioned that he wasn't a good man, and she didn't want to go into detail about some of the things she knew about him. Alexa's been very vocal online about how weird things were on the show. She's even created a creep club where she's trying to expose all of the creeps that worked on Zoe 101 or in Schneider's Bakery. I really suggest that you go to YouTube and you watch this interview for yourself, because I really hope her story could get out there. Being somebody that has been intensely bullied before and manipulated, I very much sympathize with her, and I really hope that more people listen to her story. She stated that Dan almost blamed her for the bullying, and there's no excuse for a grown man acting that way. She was also not invited to the Zoe 101 reunion.
I shouldn't be crying because I'm an adult, and those things were so long ago, but I guess it just brought up old memories, and it's just sad. I don't get it.
Alexa later told her followers not to watch her shows. After the rumors and allegations of Dan Schneider's behavior arose online, as did photos and videos of Dan Schneider's young stars looking very uncomfortable by his presence. Some where he's standing close to them, some where he's touching them a little inappropriately, and in many of the photos and videos, the kids look very uncomfortable by his presence. And in a since-deleted TikTok, Jeanette McCurdy referenced the question of if Dan Schneider had a foot fetish or did anything inappropriately, her response being, "Guess we'll never know." I saw this TikTok recently, but I went looking for it for this video and I couldn't find it. This led people to believe that she's probably in a contract alongside the rest of the actors and actresses, keeping them from talking negatively of Dan Schneider or Nickelodeon. Right now, this is all we have, other than a handful of anonymous interviews claiming to have stories about Dan Schneider's behavior. Before I end the video, I will say that in April of 2020, Victorious had a reunion Zoom call and Dan Schneider was invited. That doesn't prove anything or disprove anything, I just wanted to put that in spirit of fairness. I'll keep you updated if anything big happens. I'm merely just scratching the surface of this conspiracy, mainly because a lot of the subject matter inside of it makes me very uncomfortable, makes me feel sick. But if you're interested in it, I'll link some videos down below. If you want a part 2, let me know. I'll definitely dive deeper into the theory. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think more people are going to come out soon with allegations against Dan Schneider? Do you think the stuff's creepy? Do you think it's weird? Or do you think we're all just overthinking? Let me know down below. Be safe, everybody. Look out for each other. And as always, I just wanted to beg you, be nice to each other. Thank you very much.